Greetings and salutations, viewers. I'm StarPrincessHLC, and welcome back to Cupid. When we last left off, it was quite a long one with the two-parter where we were kind of seeing the rise of Guiellme and Catherine's relationship at the beginning to now where their engagement is on the rocks, and in a drunken stupor, Rosa and Catherine were having a bit of a lesbian moment, but I guess Mommy Dearest was trying something with Rosa, and now Catherine thinks that, oh, I put the moves on my friend who is overly sensitive and was, abused, so now she's running to Guiellme for support. Catherine's eyes snapped back to get. I speak good sometimes. Catherine's eyes snapped back to Guiellme as if he had just materialized in the room beside her. So yes, like I was saying, darling, which is the worst thing? What do you think? This implied incest, my abuse of my best friend, or my infidelity to you? Or, if that doesn't cut it, dear, may I divulge to you one last point? I felt something worrying when I kissed her. Excitement. If she hadn't stopped me, something else would have. It felt so real. It didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like it had always been there. Very deeply. So much of that so much so that it felt like cheating. It was like a craving. I wanted it. It was something I haven't felt with you when we... Why is this happening? I don't know. I don't even know who I am anymore. Kath, you are scaring me. Tell me what's wrong. Would you still want to marry me? Would you still love me if you knew? I wouldn't. I can't even look at myself in the mirror. But I think I know who I am now. I am a selfish, depraved bitch. I have always been the controlling, jealous lover to you. And just one night of drunken frenzy, I went and took advantage of the two people I care for the most. Not enough wine to justify this. I want to call off the engagement. At first, Catherine saw that Guiellme treated it as a joke, but the panic in his eyes set in immediately. What? I said I'm calling off the engagement. But I refuse. You don't have a choice. I'm leaving tomorrow. No. Not until you tell me what's wrong. Guiellme's eyes didn't flinch. These were the looks he gave her that melted her heart. They were so sure and steadfast in their care. They were just fighting this morning, a fight she had started as usual. Yet there was no doubt in his eyes at all. If she were to see that certainty fade away from his eyes, she knew it would break her. Is it about the fight earlier? Besides, Kath, I swear to you, I haven't done any of the... No, stop. Hearing him reinstate his devotion to her just made it more painful. Tears pooled in her eyes and fell in huge, ugly globs. She had been doing so well, too. She had thought she could hold it in until she left. She wiped the tears as best she could, but more kept pouring out. It isn't about that. Then what is it? What is it you want me to do? Whatever it is, I shall do it. This was so hard. Why did this have to be so hard? Why did she even go here? Because she wanted to see his face. She worried what it would be like for a cheater to go back to the arms of a lover. Would it change somehow? Did she still love him? How could she even tell? All her emotions were wrapped in a thick layer of guilt. It was hard to distinguish every painful thought. She had started to sob now. Yes, indeed. Ugly, unflattening snorts came out of her nose. It felt comforting to hold on to guilt. Its existence made the hatred towards herself bite less. Kath, please tell me what's bothering you. I don't deserve you. I'm a horrible person. You ought to find someone else to marry. Catherine let the words tumble out of her mouth, slightly relieved to be rid of them. Aww. She looked tearfully up at Guiellme's gaze to gauge his reaction, but he just stared back at her blankly. Why wouldn't he say anything? Catherine sobbed, fearing the worst. Guiellme cleared his throat and spoke hesitantly. Could you, repeat that? He cupped his hand to hold his ear and angled it closer to her face. He apparently hadn't caught any of her heartfelt words. Catherine snarled angrily at him. You idiot! I'm having a breakdown here! But I didn't understand what you said. I said you ought to find someone else because I am a horrible person. Guiellme pulled her to him. Oh, that's it? Whatever made you think that, I'll accept that reason. Catherine's tears soaked his shirt. You don't know what I've done. Then tell me. You'll hate me, I guarantee it. Did you punch a baby? No. The inside joke made her laugh out of the blue. Yeah, don't punch babies, people. It's not nice. She buried her face in his chest, then a half sob, half laugh. Suddenly, her doubts were cleared. Suddenly, she didn't want to marry anyone else. Catherine's arms tightened around Guiellme's waist. I've been taking you for granted, haven't I? I've been arrogant, expecting you to always adjust to me and my whims. A new fervor sprung out of her love for him. I don't deserve you right now, but I'll work on that if you give me another chance. First, she would tell him what she had done. Then, it would be up to him if he still wanted her. He deserved that decision. What I did, but Guiellme stopped her with a kiss on her forehead. Tomorrow, after a hearty breakfast and a good night's rest. I'll listen to what you have to say. Though I'm quite sure my answer will be the same. Catherine's face melted into a smile, and he beamed at her. My star finally smiles. Catherine wiped her eyes. I love you so much. She sighed with content, part of her anxiety put to rest. I do. I really do. She whispered that last one under her breath, as if trying to console herself. Guiellme. Yes, dear? Will you make love to me? Guiellme's brow shot up in surprise. Right now? After you had just been crying? Yes? No? Well, if you're not ready, later is also fine. Or tomorrow. But since it's already morning, then technically it's today, right? Guiellme's head tilted slightly, an amused smirk plastered on his face. Please take me seriously, Guiellme. This is important to me. I have to know. I have to make sure. Make sure of what? Catherine. Guiellme held her hand. I think you are tired, and just a little bit balmy, more than usual, I mean. But this is what we will do. Guiellme guided the woman to the bed and sat her down. We are going to lay on the bed. I'm going to pat your hair until you fall asleep. I shall skip work today, and the trifling little talk you want. And as such, you're still in the love-making type of mood. Then, mademoiselle, I will take you up on your offer. Catherine's eyes moistened, but this time they were happy tears. I love you. Guiellme shrugged and lifted Catherine's legs up onto the bed. I love you too, and aren't you lucky? Save it. He climbed on the bed beside her. Catherine draped her arm over him. He searched for her hand, brought it up to his lips, and patted it. She closed her eyes and rested her head on his chest, comforted by the warmth of his embrace. Michelle, can I ask you something? Why do you love me so much? Guiellme mused for a while. Is that a trick question? It feels like a trick question. Catherine whined. All right, I shall humor you for now, because you are in such a pathetic state. I love you simply because it's easy to love you, darling. You are my star, my light. You keep me right, always. You make me want to do good by you, to be a better person. You aren't even my wife yet, but the townspeople are already calling you the lady. I may have to hand you the keysdom myself. That is only because everyone in town knows who I am. Oh, I wonder why that is. Is it because you help sell vegetables in the marketplace on weekends? Or because you conspire with my cooks to hold impromptu picnics with the locals? You know about that? One can only sneak out that much food without getting noticed, madame. It amuses me how the servants cover for you upon inquiry as well. It was my idea. They're not to blame. I know, darling. I know. Guiellme chuckled and kissed her temple. It goes to show how your presence uplifts everyone's lives, including mine. But honestly, those reasons aren't exactly why. I love you, Kath. I just do. Beyond what I thought I was capable of. Catherine's heart cracked with his last utterance. If I did something bad, would you still love me? Yes, I would. Are you sure? I'm sure. What if I've hurt an innocent person? What if I've hurt you? She bit her lip. What if I was unfaithful? Guiellme stared at her questioningly. Catherine buried her face in his chest. She felt his hand smooth away her hair. He whispered gently into her ear. If you would still have me, come back to me. So? What happened doesn't matter at all. You are not your mistakes, Kath. Guiellme cleared his throat. Suddenly he seemed to have trouble breathing. You have the power to change. How about you? If I told you that I am not what I say I am, would you? What do you mean? Never mind. It's a silly question. What? Is something bothering you, Cho? Guiellme turned his head away and closed his eyes. Nothing, darling. We should sleep now. Catherine patted away the frown on his brow. She traced his cheeks with her fingers. Guiellme, I do love you. Now I am more than certain. It gives my heart happiness to know for sure. What reminded me was your generosity. You give every bit of yourself to the people you love. Do you know that? Because I have to, darling. Well, you have always inspired me, Cho. I have always looked up to you. You treat everyone, no matter the status, with kindness. Never have I met a man more generous and thoughtful about others. A man with so much love to give. And that is why I love you. You are a good man. But if that's not what I really am... Catherine shook her head. He can't fake sacrifice, Monsieur. I have seen you care for the people in this town. I've seen how you've loved me. I don't care much for intention, you see. It's what we actually do that defines us. Guiellme paused, his voice choked up in his throat. Not always. Not always. Guiellme found Catherine's hand on his face and squeezed it. She stretched her cheek and kissed his cheek. Or, not kissed his cheek. I was gonna say stretching cheeks. That's something your grandma does. Like, oh, you're so cute. Catherine, you're always scared I will leave you. But the truth is, I know that it is you who will leave me. And it hurts. What? You are different. I've loved you for so long. It scares me how deep I have rooted myself. Sometimes I deem it better to end this wretched existence. To save you from... What are you talking about, Guiellme? You're not making any sense. Is it your turn to scare me? I'm sorry. They didn't speak for a while. The air became a little uncomfortable. She could feel Guielme's stressful breathing on her forehead. Catherine wondered what Guiellme was talking about, but it didn't seem like he wanted to discuss it further. When Guiellme started to calm down, Catherine thought it was best to sleep and ask him about it the next day. But Guiellme spoke again. His voice was low and serious. Catherine, do you love me? With all my heart, Guiellme. I've loved you for what it seems like my whole life. The candle flickered. Guiellme slipped his hands on Catherine's hair and gently pushed her face towards his. She closed her eyes and let the sensations of his lips take her. His mouth left sweet traces on her skin, as if washing away her sins, blessing her, anointing her. Catherine tasted salt in his kiss, like the taste of tears. She wanted to take away all his sorrows. Guiellme held her tightly, longingly. She drowned herself in his embrace. His palm caressed her neck as he kissed her, sliding down her arm and the curve of her waist. His fingers tugged gently on her skin. Catherine darted her tongue inside his mouth, and Guiellme answered it with his own. She wanted his every kiss. She felt pleasure to know he was here, or hers. And here. It would be kind of weird if he was in the other side of the room and trying to kiss her. Her hands ran up and down his back as their kisses grew heavier. Guiellme broke away. Kath, let's stop. You're tired. Catherine looked into his eyes and saw He wanted her despite his protests. After the events of that night, there was despair in Catherine that longed to be quenched. It was a selfish atonement, perhaps, a hunger for self-worth. She ran her tongue over his lips. "I want this. Cuth." Catherine sat up beside him, massaging his shoulders and neck. She dipped her head and gave him a long, deep kiss. She opened his shirt, nibbling on his ear as she did. The clench of his jaw, his aroused breath, the cord of his neck. They were her little trophies, her bliss. Catherine pulled his shirt free. She traced a finger down his bare stomach. She watched in ecstasy as he bit his lip. To know that he couldn't resist her made her swell, her pride. Guiellme sat up on the bed, finally reaching for her, finally giving in. It felt like a victory to her. Guiellme grabbed her neck and pulled her face to him. His tongue bored deeply into her. Catherine pulled on his hair, surprised at his sudden intensity. Okay, this is getting kind of weird by the music. I mean, it's supposed to be a nice romantic scene, and it's getting creepy, eerie music vibes here. Heat ran through her body. She savored his dominance. His lips ran down her neck to her chest. Every nerve felt tender. Every length of skin felt raw. It was a reminder, an awareness that her flesh was a living thing. Tension built up in her insides. Guiellme's breath tickled her ear. He whispered her name, and it sent a violent tremor throughout her skin. It would start in her torso, surging through her, startling the roots of her hair. Her throat made short, hurt sounds. She would usually stop here. An irksome apathy would take a hold of her, and she would stop. Now, this wasn't like the other times. Catherine felt a hot throbbing at the pit of her stomach. A clench in her body wound her up tighter and tighter, pulling her and putting her in danger of release. This was different. This was... "Do you love me, Catherine?" "Guiellme, I..." Her voice came out throaty and thick. Guiellme laid her down on the bed. Guiellme dug his tongue on the hollow of her neck as his hands explored her. The soft sounds returned to her lips, but Guiellme covered them with his mouth. Her voice echoed in their heads. She wanted to scream, and the scream would come from very deep. "Do you love me?" "Oh, God! Oh, God, I love you!" she said in an urgent, desperate frenzy. A high-pitched sob escaped her mouth as something snapped inside her. Catherine opened her eyes. She caught something alarming as she stared up at him. He didn't look like Guiellme in the shadows, unlit by candlelight. His features were the same. His eyes were in the same place. His nose and lips were the same shape. But this man was a stranger. He did not care for her like how a snake didn't care for his prey. For a brief second she was afraid. A tiny voice told her to run away, but that voice was washed away by a wave of carnal desire. The stranger grinned at Catherine. "Mine." Faster now, deeper his kisses went, as if reaching for something inside her. His weight on her body excited her, but also felt like a prison. "Run, rabbit! Run, rabbit, run! Guiellme, this is not the time! This is not the place, Guiellme! Go back to being an anatomical model!" Catherine viciously devoured his lips. Her hands cruised south, kneading and clutching greedily. Her legs were draped around his waist. A force overtook her, a hunger. "Here comes the farmer's gun!" She tried to ignore the growing coldness in Guiellme's eyes. She tried to ignore the way her body moved on its own. "Run, rabbit! Run, rabbit, run!" "Seriously, Guiellme, not the time!" Her hands found the clasps of his trousers, and she undid them. "Quickly now, quickly!" He bit on her shoulder. She felt more of his teeth than his lips on her body. Oh God, is he a vampire? Catherine scolded herself for being aroused. Her mounting terror only served to aggravate her urges. She wanted this. I want this. She was hungry. I am hungry. She heard the man snicker. He wants his farmer's pie. Is that supposed to be an innuendo? So don't stand idly by. Run, rabbit, run. It's kind of weird how Guiellme is just randomly shouting here. Just saying. I could put a sound clip in here, but nah. His tongue raked her neck. He gripped her hair so tight it hurt. Catherine gasped. The shiver was from both pleasure and fear, a dangerous mix, but it was cruel. There was no warmth, just cold, hard greed. And yet she couldn't help but want him. She wanted to please him. With their every movement, Catherine felt her energy wither away. A heady, nauseous feeling of malady was clawing at her. What was missing? What was taken away? She didn't know what was gone until it was. The final scream of protest died in her mind, the last that was left of her lucidity. The urge to escape left. No more reasons to stop. Catherine moaned. Stop? No, I must not stop. Why did I even think that? What if he'd hate her? It was an agonizing thought. She had to give him more. More! His eyes observed her with cold amusement. Catherine touched his chest in reverence. His eyes were cold, but his body was like fire. In her mind's eye, he had started to become something else. Yeah, he's got a wing there. A winged creature engulfed in flame. Both hot and cold and magnificent, both beautiful and terrible, both dark and light. At times, she would be on the bed with a man she might remember as one she'd once loved. Other times, she'd be floating suspended on a dark chasm of flesh. There was a creature with her, somebody she both loathed and adored. Sometimes there were two people, sometimes there was only him. Only him. The woman called Catherine didn't exist. She was merely an extension of his mind. Soon all of her would be gone, little by little disintegrating to be a part of him forever. Oh, bliss! She was prepared to give everything to him. It didn't even seem a worthy sacrifice to lay at his feet. But no, all he asked for was her heart. That small, pathetic thing. It had always been his, anyway. She gave it gleefully. It was so generous and considerate, benevolent, fair. She worshipped him. He was her god. Please want me. Please find me pretty. She craved his love above anything else, above fear and confusion, above the mourning at something precious lost. Love me, please, love me, she begged. I'll do anything for you. Anything. His lips did not move, save for a smile. The words simply dropped in her head, echoed, and took root. Catherine's eyes lost their glimmer. Anything. Then tell me again. I want to hear it. Do you love me, Catherine? Her name on his lips was the only reminder of her former self. I do. I love you. I love you so much. A wave of fire burnt her lips as their mouths entwined. His passion heightened in his back arched. Sweat beat on his forehead and traced his temple. What a wondrous sight! He was ice beginning to thaw, a sun on the verge of eclipse. His coldness replaced by a radiating heat that melted and fastened her to him like fire with metal. Really? Do you really love me? Yes! She screamed. Yes! The candle fizzled out. Beneath the depths of her hazy mind, she was relieved she didn't have to look at his face. What the hell? She tastes like the richest chocolate, the finest wine. I can't stop. My whole body shivers with the taste of her. Her breath on my neck, her fingers scratching at my back. Her lust gives me sustenance to move faster, to devour her faster. Stop! I knew waiting so long would be worth it. I have been her lover for years, and this flavor is divine. My head spins. My appetite swells. I can't stop. I can feel her excitement mounting with her helplessness. I lick my lips in delight. I haven't breathed so deeply for a long time. You're taking too much. Her love is exquisite. It is laced with anger, reverence, disappointment, pain, memories, all different relishes and morsels melded into one. Stop it! Her love is a delicacy. You're destroying her. I can't stop myself. I haven't tasted this kind of love for so long. Flirtations and physical attraction could only get me by for so long. I was going to wait. There is a warning in her love, confusion, doubt, but that helping of guilt tinged the flavor perfectly. I must feed now. Her love is the most perfect tonight. My body wants her. I couldn't stop now, even if I wanted to. Liar. And I almost let you escape. To save her. I almost ran away. I love her. I love her. And tomorrow, maybe, what will become of her? I will find another. Next time. Something insignificant. I want to relish this taste a bit more. No! No! With every move, I feel her love osmose into my other mouth. She clings to me, her moans louder. Her bare chest glistens with sweat. She is beautiful. It won't be long now. A final drawing of breath. Do you love me, Catherine? Give me all your love. All of it. Give it to me. I want it all. It's mine. Mine! Catherine, give me more. I want more! More! More. What just happened? That was disturbing. Okay. That was weird. So, I'd say that's a good place to stop now after a weird and kind of creepy lovemaking scene. I guess we'll see what Rosa's gonna say about all of this in the next part. But for now, this is StarPrincessHLC saying thank you very much for watching, and have a fond farewell.